Yo, what's up, dudes? Alright, so I know it's been a while since I put a fucking video up. I've just been caught up with, work and whatnot. So, got that going in. That today. Stage 3 sprung. I accidentally ordered sprung instead of unsprung. But, fuck it. It'll do the job, I guess. So this is Mark 7. When I was first making videos, let's see, about a year ago, something along those lines. This is what I was driving, but after some time I got rid of it, ended up getting a couple different cars, and luckily it just ended up back in my possession. You got my Honda sitting all the way out there. But yeah, small garage, and I'm about to do a clutch on this bitch. So, alright, so I know I got some pretty bad lighting up in here, but I'm gonna try to do the best to just kind of like describe everything that I'm going through, what I'm doing. It's actually a fairly simple process, honestly. I should have the transmission out hopefully within an hour, maybe faster than that. I don't know, it just depends. I just did the clutch on this like two, three or 4 weeks ago, something like that. The guy that I got this back from, though, ordered an Amazon clutch, and the throwout bearing was different. We didn't catch it because the old transmission blew the throwout bearing completely apart, and we couldn't compare the two side by side. So we just kind of went off the assumption, like, okay, well, it should work. I mean, it's throwout bearing for this car. It looks kind of similar, so fuck it, we'll try it. So we ended up trying it. That didn't work. Um, yeah, the throwout bearing ended up just like making this nasty sound, and I couldn't go through like third and fourth and fifth. I couldn't even get into first. I had to ride out like second most of the time. So, but I'm about to just put the stage 3 in. It's an XTR. I got it off eBay for like 86 bucks. I really don't care about brands or anything like that. This whole like, oh, don't trust eBay parts bullshit. It's like some of them are actually kind of good. Some of them are kind of crap. Yeah, at the end of the day, but in all reality, this thing's a fucking drift car. Like the clutch is gonna get wore to fuck, and I'm gonna end up having to replace it later on down the road anyhow from just wearing it out. So I mean, clutches are serviceable parts. It's just one of those things that go out and then you have to replace on a car. So I'm just kind of like, well, fuck it. I don't really care. eBay, $86. Like, I'll have a stage 3 for the time being. I already have a welded diff in this car and turbo 2 suspension, so I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully this thing gets done like over the course of the day. I might have to stop and take a couple breaks here and there and go run some errands, but we'll see. So, yeah, let's get to it, and I'll just kind of explain what I'm doing. Alright, so one thing that I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go straight for that drive shaft. It's been the best bet for me so far. I'm going to go for those 4 bolts that are right there. They should all be 12 millimeters. And I'll get that drive shaft loosened up. And then from there, I'll go into taking the exhaust off. Just drop the exhaust and pull it out completely so it's out of the way. And then gonna shoot for the starter, and then all the mounts for the transmission around it. Got my pace setter headers right there. And let's see, the mount, those are 14s. Transmission's also 14 as well. It's mainly gonna be like 10, 12, 14, 17 kind of sizes. It's really not a whole lot to this thing. But yeah, and then after I pull the drive shaft out, pull the exhaust out, go for the starter and bolts for the transmission as well as the mount, and that's about it. Have that thing out, and speed sensor over here. Gonna have to get that out. Other than that, I think that's about it. So I'll just kind of like video a couple parts here and there as I make it along down the road with this thing. Alright, so real quick, those drive shaft bolts are actually 14, and you only really need the 14 on this side for the nut, because the way that these studs are in the back, they lock against the drive shaft, if they're set right, of course. but they lock against the drive shaft, so this way you can just break it with a wrench. So 14 millimeter for that. And then I did take my exhaust off. The bolts that I put in there weren't the stock bolts, so you'll just have to figure out what size the original stock bolts are. I believe they're 14s. Everything should be like fucking 14 pretty much. Right now I'm going for the speed sensor. It is a 10 millimeter nut right here. After you pull it out, there's a lock ring right here, and pretty much you just break that one loose as soon as I can break it loose, if I can break it loose without pliers. Yeah, you may need to grab some pliers on the back of that, but this breaks loose, unscrews counterclockwise, and then that's your speed sensor for that. I'm saving the drive shaft for pretty much last, for like when I'm ready to pull everything out kind of thing. I don't want to lose all my transmission fluid that's in here, so I'm just going to work on taking everything else out. I'm going to go for the starter next, and there are some sensors. I think you can reach 2 of them from where they're at, but I think there's another one up top. I don't remember exactly from 3 weeks ago, so yep, I'm going to go for the starter now. Alright, so we got the starter loose. On this one, it's a 14. This one is also a 14, but this is a through bolt. Goes all the way through here, and there's a nut on the end, on the back side of this, for the ground. I also took these 2 connectors off. Just gotta pop this one off real quick. Yeah, I need both hands for this, maybe. Nope, there it is. And there's just little straps pretty much throughout the place that hold everything in together. So like, you also got that one too. So now the wiring harness for the transmission is separated right there. And you've got a couple bolts up here. You've got this one, and then there's one right behind on the other side of the slave cylinder. I'm gonna have to go up top and get the slave cylinder also later on, but that one's gonna be done right before the transmission gets pulled out. So I'm just gonna move everything out of the way, finish unbolting the starter real quick. You just got a fucking clip for your ground right here, and then this one is a 12 nut to break that loose. There's your starter out, and go from there. Okay, so I had to jack up the rear to rotate the drive shaft so I could get the last stud out. I pulled the drive shaft out. And then there's 5 bolts. So there's the one right there, that one right there. Let's see if I can get to it. There's one right, where is it? Right there in between the 2 crevices, and then there's 2 more that are up top. One of them is a nut and one of them's a stud. Right now I'm working on the trans mount bracket. I've already taken one out, loosened this other side, and I'm breaking this side loose, and then yeah, I'll manpower out this transmission. Alright, so real quick, I loosened up the trans mount, but before I do anything with the trans, I gotta get the slave off, and I gotta take the shifter out. So for the slave, there's 2 12 millimeter nuts right there that I gotta take out, and it looks like another ground strap that's sitting on top of that. Can't really see the stud that I was telling you about right there, the stud under the hook. So right there, that's the one that I was telling you that has the nut on it. But gotta take that slave off and that shifter off before I go any further. Okay, so after you get the slave cylinder out, you got these 3 10 millimeter nuts right here. that you take out, and then the shifter just pops straight out. So after you get those slave cylinder nuts out, which were 14s, I think, no, they were 12s. They were 12s, and then take these out, which are 10, to pull the shifter out. Alright, so I got the transmission out, but oddly enough, the throttle bearing was almost completely fine and untouched. Like, you're completely fine. So I'm gonna pull the pressure plate and see what's going on behind that, but I'm almost wondering if the transmission that we bought, because we replaced the transmission in this car, we bought it off some kid for $150. He said it had 90,000 miles on it. Well, I wonder if the transmission is messed up. I mean, it makes some noise, but there really isn't play. And that clutch fork, I mean, doesn't even look that bad, but there was like no hydraulic pressure. Like, I don't know. Well, find out soon enough. So for the pressure plate bolts, there's 6 of them. You got one there, there, another one directly across up here. There's another one that's like right over, yeah, right there, and then there, and it's 6 of them. And then you have the pressure plate loose, and you just gotta pull it off of its dowel pins, and then you'll get the clutch disc with it also. And you know what? I don't think this clutch was bad. That was a brand new XD clutch off Amazon, but I wasn't trusting the throttle bearing because we weren't getting any hydraulic pressure in the system. So I did the steel braided clutch hose. I replaced the master cylinder. I replaced the slave cylinder. Like, everything's brand new. Even the flywheel's resurfaced. And the flywheel, I mean, it looks like it was getting heat spots, but there really doesn't look like any damage. And you get some clutch material on that. Oh, fuck. I don't know what it could be yet. I'm almost wondering maybe, like, transmission, because that's the only thing used. Interesting. Alright, so just a quick update. Got the transmission out and pulled the transmission completely out from underneath the car. Got that sitting over here. And just trying to figure out what the hell was going on with it. And I checked the drain plug, or no, the fill plug. There was no fluid in it. So, with it running bone dry like that, the gears probably got messed up inside. It's my own fault. I should have checked it when I bought it, but the kid was like, "Oh yeah, I filled it up with fluid," and da 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 da. When we took the cap off for the output shaft, some of the fluid came out, but it started like actually pouring out. So I was like, "Oh, okay, well maybe he was right. Maybe there is actually fluid in there." So just slapped it in, and then that was the downfall right there. Ran the transmission dry. So the transmission is either fucking toasted right now or still kind of good. So I put some fluid in it. I'm just gonna reinstall it, and with the stage 3 in it also, and I guess we'll just see what happens after that. I mean, if the transmission's done, it's done. I gotta get another one. Not a big deal. Like, whoop-de-deal, another $100 I gotta spend, which kind of sucks, but well, maybe 200. I don't know. I just gotta find the damn thing first. So yeah, I'm just gonna reinstall it real quick. Got the pressure plate sitting right there. That's the old clutch. I mean, for barely like 100 miles, like, there's just a little bit of spots on it here and there, which is alright, not a big deal. Let me show you what the clutch nut going in looks like right now. So whenever you're installing a clutch, make sure you have the alignment tool, because yeah, it like saves your ass so much right there. You just put it straight in the center, and then I just push it flat, hold it there, go grab the pressure plate, line the pressure plate up on its dowel pins. Usually there's only like one way it can go, or sometimes 3 different ways it can go, but you'll just have to rotate the plate around, or the pressure plate around, until you find the right dowel pin setup. Push it in, put your bolts in, and then you'll torque it to spec. I've got the manual out in my Honda right now, so I'll go grab that and check the specs of the pressure plate, but it's probably like 14 to 20 or 30 pounds, something like that. It's really not a lot, honestly. Like, I broke all the bolts loose with an electric ratchet that doesn't even have that much torque to it, so yeah. So now I'm going to line that pressure plate up and just reinstall everything and see what happens. Okay, so just to recap, this particular portion of the video is actually shot a little bit later than the rest of the videos. After I got the transmission installed, I went and put it through some tests pretty much to see if the transmission would hold up, being that it was run dry on fluid. So first tip, always check to make sure that there's fluid in your transmission. I don't know why I didn't do that one. That one's just on me, but the transmission's still going. The RX-7 still runs, still drives, and still drifts just fine. So I'm just going to ride that transmission out until it either blows up or whatever. I already found another one to put in it. Like I said, I'm just riding it out just so I don't have to do it again right now. But pretty much the clutch for the RX-7 is a pretty simple process. It's pretty straightforward. On most import cars, you'll use anywhere from 10, 12, 14, 17, 19 millimeter sockets. You're going to need a ratchet, some extensions, a universal socket, a torque bar, if you want to go that specific with it. I've done a couple clutches on this car already, so I just kind of know it by feel, but the torque for the pressure plate's anywhere around 15 to 20 foot-pounds of torque, I believe. Now, if you are servicing your flywheel, which I do recommend when you do change a clutch on any car, whether it be a resurface or a replacement completely, the nut that holds the flywheel on is a 54 millimeter socket, and I got mine off the Snap-on truck, but there's plenty of places you can get that socket from. Just make sure to try and get it in a half inch, and if you can't get it in half inch, get it in 3/4, and then get a half inch adapter to 3/4 inch. I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's like a 3/4 inch male and then a half inch female. Little adapter. It's only about like that big, and that'll help you use that socket. I don't even think I have it with me right now. I'm sitting in my Honda right now, so yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. It took me, I don't know, I would say all in all, it took me about an hour to get the transmission out, and with all the stuff I had to go through, another 2 to 3 hours to put it back in. It shouldn't have taken that long. It's usually a lot quicker than that, but being I was just kind of like laying under the car and had to like bench press the transmission up there myself, and I didn't really have any assistance. Like, I had my roommate jack up the front of the engine. That's another thing that you can do if you're having issues trying to get the transmission reinstalled, is get a jack in the front of the engine and get like a 2x4 and put it on the bottom, the harmonic balancer, or the eccentric shaft pulley, pretty much the pulley in the front of the engine at the very bottom. Just put it on there, jack it up so the engine will kind of tilt back a little bit. That'll help you align the transmission a little bit easier. That was pretty much the only thing that I had help with when I was doing this. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I'm sure you guys have seen, and if you own RX-7s, there's some stuff missing down below. It's most of the stuff that I just left off that was either broken, or I couldn't get back in, or so on and so forth. So it may not be as simple on your RX-7 if you haven't done your clutch yet. Being with the dual exhaust, if you don't have a single straight pipe like mine is, the dual exhaust might fight you a little bit, but all in all, it's still the same process, and it's so easy to just go through and deal with. But the fluid that I used in my transmission was 75W90 Pennzoil, I think is what I put in it, or Valvoline. No, it was Valvoline. I just grabbed whatever, honestly. Like, I knew the transmission was shot, so I just kind of threw a slur of different brand name oils in there, but it really just, it's all oil at the end of the day. Like, that transmission was gone for, so I'm just gonna deal with it. But other than that, yeah, it took about two quarts or 2 liters, whatever the regular size bottles are. I think they're quarts. But yeah, it took 2 of those to fill it. Maybe like, I think it's like 2.2, somewhere around there. Best way to check that is pull the fill plug off, make sure the car's level on the ground, and fill it from there. I had to go to Walmart and buy a like hand pump where one hose went into the transmission, another one into the bottle, and I just had to manually pump it in. I paid like $7 or $8 for it. It's really not a huge thing to fill that. Also, too, when you are removing your transmission, if you can find some type of cap to put on the back side of it, that would just help life so much. I I couldn't find a cap, and I took the transmission off, and it just like leaked everywhere, all over the floor. And yeah, after I filled it up. I went through a lot of dumb things trying to figure that one out, but after getting that stage 3 installed and driving it around, that that thing is smooth. Like, it's got a new master cylinder already, a new slave cylinder, and a steel braided clutch hose on top of the stage 3 clutch that I just put in it. So that thing grabs, it hooks nice, it drives nice, I love it. So yeah, if you have any questions, comment. If you like this video, like and subscribe. I'm going to be shooting to make a couple more here. I'll do a couple videos of the actual RX-7 driving and go from there. It's just, I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch back up with all of these videos, and it's been a while. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked it.